This is, even though
Yeah.
we consult about cost control, there's not much cost control needed in our business because,
Right.
you're going to have things like gas and phone and lunches and coffees and things like that. But there's not a lot
Yeah.
of expense to running the business. It's about client acquisition and client relationships and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So now the investment itself, now the reason that we want people to have, some net worth beyond just the franchise fee and some liquid beyond the franchise fee, because it's not like McDonald's where you do have a drive-through window and you have cash coming in day one. Some people think that's
Yeah.
really great because I'm making bank deposits, I'm making money.
Right.
Meanwhile, that's a 15-year payback. So but they
That's a good
lose sight
point.
of that. In
Yeah.
our case, you're not going to have money coming in for your first few months because you got to get a client, do the work for the client, bill it and collect it. But after that, you've got a steady flow because our clients pay us for a 3-year period, 50% of the savings for a 3-year period. So
Right.
it's very
Huh.
lucrative, and really the payback should be within the first year, unless you're
Yeah.
not working at it. So that's really how our ramp up and our ROI works.
No, that's awesome, Dennis. And can you help someone once they do start operations? What does like that day in the life look like for a franchise owner? What does, is it like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type role? What does kind of it look like?
Yeah, that's mostly what it is. I mean, and we tell
Yeah.
people if you're willing to work a regular work week, 35, 40 hours a week, you're going to succeed in our business if you don't stop doing it. And it's generally
Yeah.
that 9 to 5. You just are, because really it boils down to this, Josh.
Mhm.
If you're the company, I'm going to say to you, look, and we've got way better scripts in this, of course, but I'm going to say, look, you're paying more than you should for this, and that. Can I have a shot to
Yeah.
get you some money back? That's it. That's the
I'm
sales
in.
process. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. So, so as long as somebody's willing to keep having those conversations with people and then setting up referral relationships, whether that's, through networking or with clients or paid referrals,
Yeah.
we've got all these different tactics and strategies. As long as somebody does that kind of work, which is actually fun, you're out there
Yeah.
talking to people, interacting with people, getting to know and learn about people, you're building your
Right.
business that way. But if somebody sits at home and hopes somebody's going to call them for cost
Yeah.
reduction consulting, they're kidding themselves. So
Right.
we just have to make sure people are active. So it's a fun
Yeah.
business, but it's an out there business. And now when I say out there, I mean out there either physically or via Zoom. That's fine
Right.
too.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting model. And, as a business owner, it's just, who doesn't want to reduce their costs? And even not as a business owner, I just think about, all these apps that people have from, the Spotify's, the Apple Music, whatever apps you have, all these monthly subscriptions, they just keep adding up. If you think about something like that as just someone's personal life, think about a business owner, all those monthly subscriptions they have, if you can cut them costs, count
Well,
anybody in.
you make a good point, and all these expenses that we consult about are very confusing.
Yeah.
How many different things go into the cost of a cell phone plan, a phone line, an internet connection, a payment when you're accepting a payment. There's 700 different cost categories that a credit card
No.
transaction could fall into. Nobody knows
Yeah.
that. We know that,
Right.
and all the things that even go into the cost of that container to get rid of your waste. It's
Yeah.
just mind-boggling. But people just pay what they're quoted from a vendor and they think they're in good hands, and they're generally paying much more than they should.
It's incredible, Dennis. And I know as the hour kind of wraps up, I know our time's wrapping up, and this has been incredible. I think the viewers have definitely learned a lot today. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up, I know on LinkedIn you kind of mentioned the ability for asset growth. Can you kind of speak about how, a lot of people think, they want to retire in 40 years and have that 401k saved up. But what about the ability to control your own business, build an asset, and then talk about the exit strategy a little bit?
Well, that's a significant benefit here. And I will qualify this first. Most consulting businesses don't really have a good exit strategy. They can be a great business, they can earn good money, they can get good renewals if they do a good job. But at the end of the day, you can't sell yourself, right? So
Right.
that's what most consulting businesses are. However, with Schooley Mitchell, it's more of a process driven solution. And every client we get has a minimum of a 3-year annuity attached to it. So we know there's a future cash flow. And if we do a good job with our clients, we've got a 75 or 60 to 70% renewal rate too. So we know they're long-term clients. Well, that makes it a saleable asset. And so we had one sell for
Awesome.
$4.5 million a couple of years ago, and another one just under 2 million just prior to that. So we
Yeah.
know, and that's not like buying a building for 4.2 and selling it for 4.5. There's no cost. That's
Right.
just the clients you've built up. So whether that's 2 years or 10 years or 40 years, like you said, that's up to the franchisee. They can sell their business anytime they want, and there's value there as long as they built up clientele.
No, it's so impressive. And just when I think about the stock market, it's just you really have no idea where that money's going. It's just a big corporation. Who knows, where their interest lies. So, for me personally, when I work hard for my money, I like the idea of controlling my money and I like having the systems in place to really be able to see what that picture looks like. So for me personally, it's just a very attractive model. So, this has been a really, really great time. And I think just my last question for you as we really wrap up the hour, what would you say to someone, spending a couple years in corporate America, everyone, even just growing up, a lot of people want to be their own business owner.
Yep.
Everyone growing up just talks to their friends and is like, we'll start this, the sweatshirt company, the XYZ, whatever it may be. They think, me and a couple of my friends, they'll start this business, and then, they get the benefits, the 401k, and, those dreams slowly fade away. But, people always start with that idea of wanting to be a business owner. So what do you tell someone that they've kind of always had that nagging, but they don't necessarily want to kind of take that risk? What would you tell that person?
Well, the first thing I would say is, there's studies done that say 70% of people do want to be in business for themselves, but only a
Wow.
very small percentage of those actually pull the trigger. And the
Right.
reason is for fear. I'm fearful of risk, and that's the issue. And I get that. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
businesses that you've either got to have a lot of money to buy or a big franchise. In this case, I'd say bet in yourself. There's
Yeah.
nothing that affects your success except you in a business like ours. There's not really much cost. There's nothing that gets in your way. We don't have territories. All those things that affect most businesses don't. So I tell them, if you want to bet in
Yeah.
yourself, this is the type of business that you want. That's what I wanted. When I was 28, I decided I'm going to bet in
Yeah.
myself. I don't want to make money for somebody else. I don't want to be told where to go and
100%.
what to do. I want to make those decisions. And somebody that wants that, that's what I tell them. If that's what you want, this is what we have.
No, it's just so attractive. And for me personally, I've just, your greatest investment is yourself. Personally, I even stopped investing into the stock market over the last couple of years and only invest into myself literally just on the daily basis, from podcasts and, finding these mentors and finding different ways to find people that do have success and invest so that I can get my foot in the door to these successful people. And, a lot of people, they would rather make these excuses that, it can't happen rather than, investing a few dollars and figuring out whether it can happen. And the great thing here is that you don't have to invest anything until you have that complete picture. So I'm here to help you really take that complete risk out. And then once I hand you over to Dennis, he's going to give you that complete education process. It really just goes back to how we started with, it starts with the mindset. And then once you listen to Dennis, you take action, you make that decision to take that action. There's really nothing else that can stop you. And one thing that I just want to say as we wrap up this interview, this podcast, Dennis did not ask for a script beforehand. Dennis did not ask, what questions am I going to ask? This was not scripted. This was just Dennis talking out of pure experiences. I personally, I'm not going to give names, but normally anytime I ask anyone for something like this, they want the questions beforehand, and then they want someone else to proofread it, and then another person to proofread it. This was strictly, Dennis just giving me his time. So Dennis, I greatly appreciate your time today. I think the viewers learned a lot about Schooley Mitchell, and, I think, like we said, just make that decision to take action. If you're someone looking for something else in your future, if you're one of those 70% that want to take that risk, I think with franchising, it's just so powerful. I think I was reading this the other day. 25% of small business owners fail in the first year, and it's, I think, 50% in the first 5 years, compared to franchising, where it's 92% success rate in the first year and 80% success rate after 5 years.